In 1962 in Madrid, with a pistol pressed to his chest, Otto Skorzeny, the Nazi commando who once rescued Mussolini, found himself on a Mossad hit list, his own name staring back at him. Within moments, the most feared officer of Hitler's Waffen-SS struck a bargain to become a secret weapon for Israeli intelligence. What could drive a symbol of Nazi power to switch sides and target his former allies? To understand the answer, we have to return to the battlefield glories and the swift downfall that set up one of history's most staggering transformations. Otto Skorzeny's rise through the Nazi ranks began long before the world knew his name. Born in Vienna in 1908, he joined the Austrian Nazi Party in 1927, just 19 years old. By the outbreak of World War II, Skorzeny had already earned a reputation for daring and discipline, entering the Waffen-SS as an engineering officer. His skill for bold, unconventional warfare caught the attention of Hitler's inner circle. In September 1943, Skorzeny led the glider-borne raid that freed Benito Mussolini from a remote Italian mountain prison, a feat that stunned Allied intelligence and earned him the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross, presented personally by Hitler. Promoted to SS Standartenführer, he became the face of Nazi special operations, mastering sabotage, infiltration, and commando tactics. War diaries from his units describe a leader who thrived on risk, improvisation, and technical precision, qualities that would later draw the interest of intelligence agencies, hunting for expertise in the shadows. As Nazi Germany collapsed in May 1945, Otto Skorzeny surrendered to American forces near Salzburg. He was processed as a prisoner of war and faced trial at Dachau for alleged violations during the Ardennes offensive. In January 1948, the tribunal acquitted him, citing lack of evidence. But freedom in post-war Germany proved dangerous for a man with his reputation. Within months, Skorzeny slipped out of Allied custody, aided by former SS comrades who disguised themselves as American military police. He vanished from the official record, moving through Bavaria and across the Alps. By late 1949, he resurfaced in Spain, welcomed by Franco's regime as a valuable guest. Madrid became his new base of operations, a city where fugitives could reinvent themselves under the protection of sympathetic authorities. In this shadowy world, Skorzeny was no longer a captive. He was a free agent, ready for the next chapter. Madrid, 1962. Otto Skorzeny sat across from a man who introduced himself as Josef Raanan. The conversation was tense from the start. Skorzeny, always armed, kept his pistol on the table, his eyes fixed on the visitors. Raanan, a Holocaust survivor and Mossad operative, wasted no time. He laid out the facts. Skorzeny's name was on an assassination list, targeted for his past and his ties to Nazi fugitives aiding Egypt's missile program. There would be no payment, no promises of wealth. The only offer was survival, work for Mossad, and the threat would disappear. Refuse, and his days in Spain would be numbered. Skorzeny weighed his options. He understood the language of power and risk. In that room, the bargain was struck, safety in exchange for services. No money changed hands. Only a handshake sealed the deal, locking Skorzeny into a world where old allegiances no longer mattered. Mossad did not hand out trust lightly. Skorzeny's first months were a proving ground, set up to measure more than loyalty. He faced a series of controlled tasks, each designed to test the skills that once made him Hitler's favored commando. Surveillance came naturally. He could slip into German-speaking circles in Madrid and Munich, gathering names and addresses of engineers now working for Egypt's missile program. Sabotage was second nature, and he demonstrated how to plant devices and forge travel documents, drawing on methods perfected during the war. Mossad handlers watched as he mapped out escape routes and counter-surveillance routines, skills honed in occupied Europe. They noted his ability to read a room, to exploit fear, to turn an enemy's network against itself. Reports from these trials described a man who adapted quickly, shifting his expertise from Nazi operations to clandestine Israeli needs. Only after these tests did Mossad consider him ready for real assignments. Skorzeni's methods left no room for hesitation. In Egypt, German scientists linked to the missile program began receiving packages that exploded on opening, and 5 technicians died in these attacks. The bombs arrived at factories with no warning. Work halted by fear as much as by violence. Skorzeny used his old commando skills to recruit insiders, slipping messages and threats deep inside the enemy's own security. He mapped out every shift and supply route, turning the scientists' routines against them. Each strike sent a message: nowhere was safe, and anyone could be reached. The ripple effect was immediate. Staff quit, projects stalled, and the Egyptian missile effort began to unravel. Within months of the first attacks, the Egyptian missile program began to disintegrate. Intelligence reports from late 1962 counted dozens of German scientists fleeing Cairo, abandoning their posts and leaving critical projects unfinished. Factories that once operated around the clock now stood idle, with blueprints locked away and research teams gutted by fear. Israeli analysts credited Skorzeny's tactics with delaying Egypt's missile ambitions by several years, buying valuable time for Israel's own defenses. The exodus of technical experts marked a rare victory in the shadow war, measured not just in casualties, but in the sudden paralysis of an adversary's most dangerous plans. When yesterday's enemies blur into today's assets, the lines between justice and survival fade. History's shadows remind us: in the world of secrets, allegiance is often just a mask.